Oh, this is a conversational one. How are we going to do this? We haven't done this before. Aaron,
Michael, good to see you.
you have been pumping out the Christmas content this year. You're obsessed. I see you. From your ex account, you were Christmas shopping in London yesterday with your beautiful family. You took it as an opportunity for a dig at the Americans. I know you can't resist going on your phone, whatever you're doing. We've got your wonderful pictures there. London is stunning this time of year. From the wren churches to the street decorations to the shops, the Yanks spreading lies about it, failing to celebrate Christmas, are simply upset that their country is a business that got out of hand. The Virginia company, Heritage. We'll come back to this tweet in a moment, but
all true.
I'm worried people will think that we're doing a whole segment based on a tweet. So we're going to come back to that later because actually Aaron has been doing some serious thought about Christmas. The patriotic celebration of the great British Christmas was a bit more toned down, but also fleshed out in a column for Unheard. So inspired by your recent sit-down with Cory Doctorow, I believe, it's headlined, "The Enshittification of Christmas, Convenience Has Displaced Community." And the centerpiece of the article is a department store called Beals, which I have to admit I hadn't heard of. I don't think they've ever had one in London. But tell me about it. How did you construct this whole theory of the enshittification of Christmas via a department store in Bournemouth?
Well, I'll be quick about Beals. It's a fascinating story. It was opened in 1881. It is just in front of the resting place of Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein. She's buried there along with her father. And apparently the heart of Percy Shelley, believe it or not, just the heart. And allegedly it's the first department store, certainly in the country, to have a live Father Christmas. Maybe the world, maybe. Although there's no photographic evidence from 1885. It has this very central role in the history of the town. I went there as a child, and it closed in 2020. And now, like much of Bournemouth's town centre, it's derelict and really having a tough time. And you go through many of these places, and it's perfectly understandable why much of the electorate has given up on the big two parties. I get it. If you don't need the M25, you might not understand. If you live outside the M25, it's kind of very self-evident. Going fast forward to where we are now, I remember, I'm getting old now, Michael, I'm 41. I remember before 2008, people would be looking at the economics and business editors on TV every year. They'd be saying, this is the biggest Christmas ever. People are spending more money than ever. Robert Peston would be a business correspondent for the BBC or something. And you just see people behind him at Selfridges or John Lewis packed out. It was a cultural meme. Every Christmas, more money, more consumption, more goods and services, more capitalism, right? And many people, including myself, would think, oh, this is horrible. This is really at odds with the spirit of Christmas, which is about gratitude and giving and community and just coming together with your loved ones and goodwill to all men. As a socialist, I love that idea, right? Goodwill to all people. But now you look back at those scenes of people actually buying stuff, and I'm nostalgic for it. Because believe me, that's a hell of a lot better than what we've got now in Bournemouth, right? Beals is shut down, House of Fraser shut down, the M&S is gone, the BHS is gone. All the stores have gone, rough sleeping and drugs. Now, I know I sound like Donald Trump when I say this. In that article I wrote, you have somebody who's a CEO of a business of On Buy. He moved his business to Bournemouth in 2016, 2017. He said, I'm moving it back, and he has since moved it back. They relocated to London, right? He said there's less drug abuse on the streets of London than there are in Bournemouth. True. So I look at those scenes of, consumption and capitalism. Yes, not a fan of that. But people actually being together is a lot better than what we have now. And I do Christmas shopping as much as anybody else. Michael, the spirit of Christmas should not be one-click buy now shopping. How's that Christmas? This act of globalized real-time logistics. What's special about that? What's special about buying something like that? What makes it any different from all the crap I buy every other day of the year? Now, I'm not being whimsical about shopping, right? I know it can sometimes be very annoying. It can be very busy. But there was a certain romance to going to somewhere special, buying something special for somebody special in your life. It was an experience. And by the way, if you go to wealthier parts of the country, it's still like that, right? You go to London, you go to the West End, you've got Bond Street, you've got Fortnum, you've got Hamleys, the toy shop. If you've got money, you can still do it, right? If you go to Winchester, which is a wealthier place in the south in Bournemouth or Portsmouth or Southampton, you still got it because there's richer people there. So this now seems to be almost a luxury good, which wasn't the case 25 years ago. Being able to go somewhere physical that's near to you to buy special things for special people in your life, that was a fundamental reality of everybody's world when I was growing up. But now it's something that we view as almost a positional good. It's something that is only undertaken by people with lots of money. It's a status symbol. The idea of buying stuff in a department store for Christmas for other people, it's a status symbol. It's a statement about who you are and how wealthy you are in some ways. So I've been ruminating on it a lot, Michael. And I think that there's so much connection between our lack of industrial policy in this country, not building or making anything, the fact that we're so dependent upon American logistics and infrastructure, the American internet, and also, and I'll finish with this, a complete vacuity running through our culture now. You know, I loved watching Stranger Things. It's great TV. I'm not going to diminish it. I watched all of the episodes. I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it. 3 episodes on Christmas Day. But also the fact that there are 3 episodes on Christmas Day is kind of a statement, isn't it?
So you're supposed to... I've actually never watched Stranger Things.
Oh, here we go.
You're supposed to watch 3 hours of it on Christmas Day.
Probably more than 3 hours, right? And then the final episode, I think, will be on the 31st. So for people who aren't aware of this, Stranger Things is about interdimensional demonic creatures, okay? So the idea that on Christmas Day, your kid's going to be watching 3 hours of Stranger Things on an iPad by themselves, I just find that quite sad.
Yeah.
Christmas used to be about families coming together, you watch TV together, you eat together. It's not always perfect, right? Some people hate it. And before people have a go at me, well, some people don't have families. I had no brothers or sisters growing up. I had a stepbrother, stepsister. My parents weren't together. So I get it. But lots of people do live like that and used to live like that. And I feel that between the inshitification of Christmas shopping, one click, buy now, same rigmarole as every other day of the week, every other week of the year, between that and also our media consumption, again, increasingly American-centric and shitified, Prime, Apple TV, Netflix, and bugger all else, I feel like something has gone really wrong in the core of our society. And saying that what went before, say 25 years ago, isn't an anti-capitalist statement. That wasn't socialism. And again, I don't want people thinking I'm making some sort of radical argument here. I'm not. I'm actually making a conservative argument, right? I'm arguing for something in the very recent past. But what I'm saying is that wasn't perfect. It's not my utopia. But it does seem to me, as somebody who's experienced both ways of being, that's a much healthier way of doing things. And I worry about young people growing up in this other way of doing things. And if this is the trajectory we're on, you know, I don't think it's a good one. And I think we should start reflecting on that as a society.
Yeah, I mean, I've got lots of sympathy with this argument. Let's bring this to life with some pictures of Beals. I said I've never been, but it looks like it was lovely in the 30s. This is a picture of Beals in 1936. And then you've got Beals in 2010.
The Luftwaffe, Michael.
Yeah, now, is that why?
Yeah.
Because I thought this was going to be a story about sort of like bad planning, but literally the Luftwaffe bombed Beals.
Not this time. The Luftwaffe bombed Beals. 2 stunning buildings in Bournemouth, the Hotel Metropole and Beals, probably 2 of the nicest buildings in the whole town. They bombed both of them. So that's why. And it's a shame.
What's your view of, because you're often now referenced on, there's a big section of Twitter which doesn't like brutalism and likes tradition. And you're now sort of talked about a lot on it. They think they've got this ally in Aaron Bastani, because normally they think of sort of this, the left like things to be, you know, built by the state. They like it to look like the Barbican, basically. And they're saying, like, we want things to look traditional again. You're a bit of a traditionalist. What's your view about why it went? Because I suppose there's an argument that it's taste. But I think there's also an argument that it is our move to a service economy, and also Baumol's cost disease. You know about this?
Of course, but so go on. How's it relevant here?
Well, because it just means that you have to pay builders a lot more than you would have done in the 19th century.
Of course.
And so we like, because it's one of those things where you think, shouldn't things get better as you get richer as a society, but actually because builders are going to cost more as you get richer as a society relative to everything else, because it's difficult to increase productivity in building, then you are going to have, like, buildings are just going to get shitter forever. Is that true?
There's something to it. Just to be clear, I like the Barbican. I like Royal Festival Hall. I like lots of 20th century architecture. But the point is, it needs to be visually coherent, doesn't it? The idea that you're going to have a whole street of Victorian, Edwardian buildings, and then you're just going to plonk a 1960s office block in the middle of it, it looks awful, right? But if something's visually coherent, like Brasilia, a modernist city, I don't think anybody's going to say, this is ugly, it looks out of place. So it's about visual coherence. And I think that's where the city surveyors and architects of the 20th century went very badly wrong. So there's a time and place for that. And I'd also add one more thing as well, Michael. Victorian architecture is modern architecture. It was made using modern methods with, technologies that we would, be familiar with today. It was often modular. You were using steel. You were using glass. So this idea that Victorian architecture is kind of like, 1,000 years old. The Crystal Palace is kind of like the genesis of the modern skyscraper. Now, I think that the Crystal Palace was built in 1857. Maybe I can be corrected, right? That is arguably the world's first ever modernist building. So this idea that Victorian architecture is, drab and classical, I don't think that's true. I think it's actually some of the best of modern architecture and some of the best of modern production principles.